Hello everyone, Tommy J here and welcome to LGK Games. Today I'm here to show you Runners, a top-down roguelike developed by LGK Games and published by Mastertronic. So as far as I could tell, LGK Games is actually a two-man team and this is their first game. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the options menu before we begin. So this game is a top-down roguelike, as I mentioned, so most of the options are actually to do with different texts coming up and just displaying how things look in the actual game themselves. So like screen flashing when you heard or shaking when you heard and things like that. And at the moment I've just got them set to the absolute default. I haven't turned anything on or off. Now there's also audio, so music and sound effects, which can be adjusted or turned on or off completely. Then you have video, which is very basic. This game is in no way intense on a system. Like, it's very easy to run as far as I've seen, and you can choose between full screen, windowed, or low performance mode, so I would imagine that makes everything a bit lower res, a bit easier to run on the computer. Anyway, finally, we have fully rebindable controls, which is always good. So WASD to move, 1, 2, 3, 4 for abilities, and then you have some other stuff as well. Now, since you are using WASD to move, and you're probably going to want to cast some abilities, because there's mouse control as well, you may want to rebind that 1, 2, 3, 4. Personally, I'm leaving them as default, but I think I'll probably end up rebinding them to ER, F, or something like that, just something a bit closer, a bit easier to push while you're actually moving. Anyway, let's get into the game itself. So the game has 5 difficulty levels. I've started with 2 unlocked, Wimpy and regular, and there are leaderboards for those, so the game hasn't actually released yet, so that's probably why I'm so high on the leaderboard. Anyway, we're going to play Wimpy difficulty, and yeah. So before you begin, you have a passive and a class that you need to select, just one of each, and you actually look like what your class looks like in the game. So the different passives are actually pretty damn cool. There's a whole bunch of things, and they're pretty much going to dictate how you want to play. So, for example, Flaming Touch, if you come into melee contact with an enemy, they will take damage, but overall you deal less damage. So it's a little bit of a trade-off there. Most of them are trade-offs. So the human, as with most games like this actually, is just a small bonus to everything. Doesn't really have trade-offs, but everything else does. So, for example, this one. Exploring new rooms modifies a whole bunch of your stuff up to plus 54, but lowering them as low as negative 18. So it'll just random what happens. And yeah, there's a whole bunch that do things like that. Now, I have a few that I like a lot. Blessing of the Chimera, which is a 7% chance per spell to cast a copy of that spell. So that's cool. The Wispy Delight, sorry, where pickups are drawn towards the player, but health packs restore less life. And then the Shade here, where every 0.15 seconds, a random bullet is shot in a direction. So I'm actually going to go with the Shade, because I like my caster, but at the same time, I like being able to deal that damage at a medium-ish range. So then you have a class, which not only dictates your look, but also gives you an ability. So Bladestorm, for example, you charge at a point, dealing area damage along the way. Shoots out a bolt that knocks back and deals damage based on distance traveled. Whole bunch of things like that. It's quite cool. Or this one, which just fires 2 current spells with no cooldown. So yeah, quite nice. What I like is Rise of the Undead, or the Corpse Creeper, sorry, which casts Rise of the Undead, summons 2 zombies that explode in a poison cloud on death. So I'm going to go with him. Now finally you get to select a starting spell. It doesn't really matter which one you pick too much. I'm going to go with Corruption because I like that. But let us begin. So this is Runners, right here. These are your binds up here. So Corruption is bound to my left click. I'm not sure if you can hear me left clicking, but I am. You can also hold down the mouse button to fire, so you don't have to sit there clicking, which is always nice. And yeah, this is my character. So those purple bolts coming out of me are actually my passive ability. That doesn't happen normally. It's just something extra. So the point of this game is to beat the 10th floor. You start on the first floor, and there are a whole bunch of rooms, if I open the minimap there on the left, that you pretty much just fight through the rooms, try and find pickups, and eventually try and find the staircase to descend down to the next room. Now, I've actually been very lucky here. I've done a fair few playthroughs of this just to get used to the game, but essentially what happens is you craft new spells, and unfortunately, I don't have what's required to do it. Hopefully I'll get them soon. But pretty much, you get these things called runes, and there are a whole bunch of different elements. So this corruption one I have is dark, I believe, the element. And yeah, I think there are 10. Not 100% sure. There's at least 10. And what you do is you can craft them alone. So if I crafted another dark rune, it would just become this spell right now that I'm using. And you can equip multiple spells that are the same. Or if, for example, I crafted this earth rune, it would become just this ability here, and it does give you a nice little demonstration. So it's a little bit like an artillery strike, the earth rune, because it's got a delay and it hits for area of effect damage. Anyway, by finding these pieces called combiners, which I have managed to find, that's what it looks like, you can combine 2 runes. So since this is already a spell, I can't combine it. But before you turn things into spells, yeah, you can combine it. So I could combine an earth with whatever I want, and it would actually become this 2-element spell. Or I could even combine 2 earth runes to make a better version of the earth spell if I wanted. But yeah, so that's pretty much how the spell system works. Oop, let's pick up them. These enemies, when you kill them, you need to stand on their bones, otherwise they respawn. But let's just clear this room. And did we get a rune? I don't think we did. No, we didn't. Let's break these and hopefully get one. Since it is a roguelike, of course RNG is always going to be a thing. I've never actually gotten a rune combiner that early, but I've never gone this long without finding a rune, so yeah. Now, I mentioned earlier that you do have a class ability. This is mine, summoning those zombies, which will run at enemies, and they explode into a little poison cloud when they die. So that zombie took out that guy up there. And instead of having a short cooldown like the rest of your abilities, it will have a longer cooldown. So this has a 1-minute cooldown, whereas this spell here, Corruption, has, what is it? A 0.3 second cooldown. So yeah, a bit of a difference there. And yeah, the more powerful the spell, the bigger the cooldown is generally how it goes. But you can get things to reduce cooldowns and things like that. Oh god, there are a lot of skeletons. That's actually going to be quite difficult because I'm going to need to run around them to kill off the dead ones. I took a hit. There are bonuses for completing a room without taking any damage. So it's always good to try and do that. Hey, a fire rune. That's good. And of course you haven't taken any damage, so you're at that little bit of an advantage where you've got the experience from clearing a room without losing any life. Oh yes, and a water rune. So I now have 4 runes: Entropy, Fire, Water, and Earth. Now each rune can actually get this extra modifier on it. This one has +5 bullet size, so the actual projectile will be a bit bigger. But I think I'm going to craft Fire and Water. That's something I've crafted before, so it actually tells me what it is. If I try to cast something that I haven't crafted before, is there anything I haven't crafted before here? 1 second. It will come up with question marks. Yeah, like that. So I've never crafted this before, so I don't know what it is. But the game does keep track of everything you've ever made in the past. So yeah, I've made Elemental Helix before, and if I go to preview, this is what it does. So it shoots a fire and a water bolt. And I'm just going to put that in my right click, because it has a cooldown of 0.8. So while I can't use it quite as often, yeah, it does still have a low cooldown. So yeah, that's pretty much how combining runes works. And when you combine runes to make these new spells, it doesn't necessarily end up like this one. So this one is literally a fire bolt and a water bolt entwined. So it is pretty much just the 2 combined. Whereas other ones being combined won't necessarily do that. Oop, let's pick up these, or step on. I think you're squashing them, not picking them up. That'd be a bit weird, just picking up the skeletons, putting them in your pocket. Who doesn't like extra skeletons in your pocket? Okay, so there is the exit to the next floor. We've not explored the entire floor, and you can, and I'm actually going to. Because there are 3 different types of rooms. Not runes, rooms. Rooms, the things I'm standing in. There's Aura, which is one we passed earlier. And yeah, it was the second room actually. And when you're in that room, both you and enemies will actually get an aura on you. Now, the second type of room is Event. So this event is Escort, and the room's kind of frozen until you actually start the event. So you can choose to start the event or choose not to, depending on how difficult it is. Because I'll be honest, there are some I did that I would not do again because I just died, just flat out died. So this one is protect these from the skeletons. So let's give it a go. See, chopping zombies and pick all them up. Good, so I dealt with all those skeletons quite nicely. Oh, there's still one more. Is that all? Yep. Cool, so I got a lot of XP for that, 250. And, oh, I leveled up, nice. And yeah, every time you level up, you get to choose between 4 different bonuses. So, yeah, they will literally be randomed. Every time you play, they will be, yeah, just randomly selected from a list. So I guess you could get the same 4 choices, but in my case, I haven't. I don't really want that one because you can shatter double combiners or triple combiners in case you don't want to use them, so there is still a point to having them, but I, yeah, probably won't. Whenever you cast your cast your class ability, lower your other cooldowns by 5. So my class has a 60-second cooldown, but the other ones are less than 1 second, so it's probably not good. Increase your move speed by 10%. Let's do that. And also, when you finish an event, you get this. So, sorry about that. So you get a choice between 4 random things, and these are either passives or runes. Let's just go with the move speed passive. So I'm moving very fast right now, as you can see. Actually, it's not there. Is it on this screen? Yeah, move speed, 41.2. Which is nice. Now, I actually have another combiner. So let's see what this will give me. Shifting Sands. I think it gives me defense, and if anything hits me, they get stunned or something from memory. What you can actually do is go to the rune decks and have a look at things you've unlocked. So these are all the things I have used before. What was it called? Shifting Sands. This one. Creates an armor of sand around the caster that retaliates on the first source of damage, stunning all enemies. I don't particularly want that, to be honest. Yeah, don't particularly want that. So let's just go in this room. This is an aura room. As you can see, if I pause the game up the top, lowers entropy rune level by 1. So any entropy runes I'm using will be slightly weaker. Okay, so let's quickly deal with these. These are kind of like aura towers in a tower defense game. The powered shrines, they just give all of their allies a buff. So you can deal with them first or last, but they can't attack. So it's not really any threat to you aside from buffing the enemies. Let's give this room a go. Ooh, lots of things in this room. Drop the zombies. So obviously, because your class ability on some classes is such a long cooldown, it can be beneficial to literally just stop and wait for the cooldown to end. But you will take much longer to do that. Okay, so sap energy from earthen or elemental enemies, creating a guardian. Crit, increase your move speed. Increase your luck or beast hammer. I think I'm going to go with increase your luck. I think that increases my drop chance, though I'm not 100% sure. Oh, I'm low on health, so let's do that. And I'm actually going to go down to the second floor because we're still on the first floor and I have found a lot of stuff. So let's go down to the second floor. When you complete a floor, you also get all of these. So I'm going to increase my bullet size. Okay. Depending on what tile set you're in, enemies will actually get a different bonus. For example, I'm in the mine, so they get enemy bullets 10% bigger. And this is the only way I can go. Okay. portal protect. Okay, I can do this. Protect this portal from imps. Seems easy enough. They're just going to run at it. And hopefully I will get all of them. So the number of events in this game are actually quite extensive. Like, I've seen a lot. This is probably the second or third time I've played this one in particular, in however many... Oh, don't get that. Yes, in however many hours I've played. So yeah, there are enough. Like, you're not going to be doing those same 3 events over and over. And I honestly have no idea how many there are, but yeah, there are a fair few. One interesting thing I found about the combat is that you're not just kiting in a circle around the room, because most enemies actually act differently, like based on what they are. You can't just kite them around a room. You do need to plan ahead a little bit, think about what you're doing, and yeah, just try and beat them that way. Okay, so I actually found the entrance to level 3. I'm gonna do a couple more rooms, I think. But I got another double combiner, so I have 3 of them. If I get one more, I can combine 4 double combiners into 1 triple. So I'm actually going to hold off, because I feel like the spells... Ooh, so many enemies. Actually, wow, those are axes, not enemies. Yeah. The triple combiner would give me that spell that has 3 elements in it. Let's just break line of sight for a little bit and dodge these guys. Thankfully, most projectiles break on walls, so you can use the terrain to help you out a bit. Now, one thing that I was actually a little concerned about when I was looking at this game was the aesthetic, because the screenshots, I mean, they don't look particularly amazing. But once you actually get into the game and start playing, it actually looks really, really nice. There's a lot of good particle effects, and even though the aesthetic is relatively simplistic, yeah, it does look quite good. I don't actually... I might go Mental Mastery. Actually, no. I won't. So, you've probably seen it a few times, but it is possible to upgrade your runes. So if I were to have, for example, a water or a fire rune, I could attach it to this elemental helix and it would upgrade it. So, for example, the fire icon is next to damage, whereas the water icon is next to helix width. So putting a water icon on there would make the width a bit wider, whereas putting a a fire rune, come on brain, a fire rune on there would make the damage a bit higher. So yeah, that's how you upgrade. If I were to add this dark rune onto corruption, it would increase the duration. And yeah, it's an interesting little way to do it, because it means that you can't just spam damage, and different elements actually do completely different things. Okay, what's that? An air rune. I'm just going to go one more room, and then we'll go down to floor 3. So, something else I haven't mentioned that is very notable. This game actually has a demo. In this day and age, how many games have demos? The answer is not enough. Never enough. It's a completely free demo, and it's restricted in a few ways. You can only play classes and get passives from the top 5, so you still have 5 options of each, but it's just the top row. And you can only go 3 levels. So the full game has 10 procedurally generated levels, whereas the demo only has 3. And on the 3rd floor, there's a boss. Once you beat that boss, it's over. Okay, so what I might do is get plus 5% damage here. And we are on floor 3 and looking good because we're on full health. Now, interestingly, if you do play the demo and then buy the game, all of your progress actually carries over, which is quite cool. I was honestly surprised when that happens, because normally they're separate programs and stuff. And by progress, I mean your unlocks on the rune decks and the bestiary and things like that. Whoop, lots of enemies. Okay, lots of fast enemies. Let's drop the zombies. And hopefully, just not take too much damage. So once you get down to the 3rd floor, there are spots on the ground that are hazardous to you. For example, that little yellow spot over on the left is very, very dangerous. If you stand on it, you take big fire damage. It's the typical do not stand in the fire, so yeah, not too hard to do. But if you do walk in it, you take huge damage. Anyway, enemy variation is something that I was a little worried about in this game, because I was looking at the first few levels and a lot of the things look quite similar. But it's actually nowhere near as bad as I thought. There are a lot of enemies. A lot. And while a few of them are reskinned, so if I just go to the bestiary right now, while a few of them are reskinned, they all cast completely different spells. So yeah, like I think it's actually good that they look the same with different colors. So you know what type of thing they are, and then you know what type of element they cast. Now, just to give you an idea of how many enemies there are, these from here on, I think, are all bosses. I've fought 3 different bosses. And then there's like mini bosses back up to here. But yeah, like there are a lot of enemies. And yeah, occasionally you get like all of the knights look like this. And all of the oozes or slimes look like this. And all of the treants look like that. So yeah, I think it's actually very, very well done. Anyway, let's see if we can find this boss room. Because I do really want to show you a boss battle. Ooh, let's drop the zombies. The zombies are just so good. Dropping that poison cloud is huge. You can actually get upgrades that are, they give you, what is it? It's like when you kill a certain type of enemy, it drops a pool of fire underneath them. And if you can just kill one enemy that's in a big group, you can absolutely decimate an entire group of enemies just in one go. It's really cool. Okay, so they are lightning guys. Let's just try and keep our distance a little bit because their stuff is instant cast, so I can't just dodge it like I can with other things. There we go. And what's that? Earth rune. And there's the boss room. Cool. Well, let's do it. Blazier. Ooh, I've never fought this boss. I've fought 3 bosses before. Let's see what it does. The boss does have phases, so ooh. If you look at its health bar, you'll notice that there are lines on it. And those lines are phases, so the boss acts differently in those phases. And in this phase, I assume it's just attack it and it will do that and just live through it. Nope, you're gonna bounce around and put stuff on the floor. That stuff on the floor, if I stand in it, is going to really hurt. Just drawing shapes. That's cool. Oh, and it spawns volcanoes. So yeah, the boss fights are all very interesting and very unique. There is... The first one I actually came across is the typical kind of ooze fight. So it's a water elemental ooze thing, and when you kill it, it splits into 2. Okay, so this boss is in phase 2 now. Okay, I'm a little worried about these lines. They're gonna rip up. Oh, that volcano despawned. And yeah, so you kill it, it splits into 2 smaller ones. You kill each of them, they split into 2 smaller ones, and all of them are casting, and yeah, so that's one of the boss fights. But the other ones, there's a few that I haven't really seen in games before. One of them is a wind elemental. And when he casts, or you have to stand on him. And don't worry, I'm not really spoiling anything, because to start this guy... Oh wow, this is awesome. To start the elemental... Oh god. To start the elemental, you have to actually... Sorry, I am just entranced by this boss fight. This is cool. This is so cool. Yeah, you have to actually stand on him. So the entire time, he's doing things, trying to get you off of him. Like casting knockbacks and things like that. Let's see if I can get you. He's almost dead. I'm laying a couple of hits on him each time. But this is so cool. This is one of the coolest boss fights I've ever seen in a roguelike. I am super impressed by this. Oop. Unfortunately, because I got those move speed upgrades, I'm slipping a little bit, because there's less friction. So I'm having to actually really concentrate. Yeah, nailed it. And an achievement, Maze Master. That's awesome. That would... Okay, anyway. So, I leveled up. What am I going to get? Sacrifice all your traits to starve off death? No. This one. Leave a holy fire zone after killing an enemy. And we now have a triple combiner. So, let's quickly make a spell. Actually, I wonder if I've done these three. No, I haven't. So dark, shock, and fire. Let's do it. Red lightning. So shoots medium range lightning that deals low damage and leaves a dot. So yeah, that's the 4th level 3 spell I've ever had. Just to show you the other ones. There's Power Bolt, so just one really long, powerful line on a big cooldown, 8-second cooldown. Red Lightning, the one I just got. Shock Array, which is just an AoE. And then Void Beast, which is quite unique. I mean, before this, everything else had just been either a damaging spell or a buff, like plus move speed, plus attack speed, whatever. But this one, you summon a beast and it drags you around the room for a little bit. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Anyway, let's just move down. I might actually save and exit, because there are some other things I do want to show you, and I think this video has been going for about 25 minutes. So challenges are something else this game has. And they are literally just a little challenge, kind of like an event room. So for example, Rat Blaster. I have 10 seconds to kill all of the rats using an Earth Rune. So an Earth Rune, as I mentioned earlier, is a little bit like artillery. So it's big area of effect. Come on, get him, last rat. Yep, got him. Yeah, area of effect and has a delay before it gets there. Now, there are a whole bunch of different ones. There's like Fight in the Dome. I tried this one earlier and I was very confused. Your ability teleports you and deals damage where you land. And yeah, you're just fighting this group of lightning enemies. So I think it's like wait for them to fire, jump in, instantly jump out. Anyway, I'm about to die, so let's go back. And then there's some different ones, such as destroy all of the objects with a limited number of charges. So this object pierces everything. So if I do that, pierces everything. And you just need to figure out how you can possibly take out all of the things using those limited charges you have. And obviously I'm not going to get it. Close though. There's only one missing. But yeah, so there are this... I think there's 30. Yeah, there are 30 of these, and there are these interesting little challenges. There's also, as I mentioned, those 5 difficulty levels. 3 of them aren't unlocked for me. And somehow, I assume it's by completing the game, but I honestly have no idea, you can unlock that 20th class and 20th passive. There's also a full tutorial if you need it. So, yeah, that's pretty much what this game has to offer. Anyway, overall, I'm absolutely loving this game. The spell system is incredibly in-depth, and it's one of the coolest things I've seen in a roguelike. Since there are just so many spells, and the runes drop randomly, you'll probably have to change up your build every time, as it's like you won't get exactly what you want. And because of the classes and the spells and all that, there is a huge amount of potential playthroughs available and potential play styles available to you. Now, this game is fairly hard, but if you find it easy, as I mentioned earlier, there are those 5 difficulty levels to choose from. Also, the enemy variation is quite good, so you don't really get bored of fighting those same enemies because you do need to change up what you're doing against them. Finally, this game actually does have that free demo I mentioned earlier, and that is just great to see, and I'll link that in the description just in case you want to give this game a go. Anyway guys, I'm actually going to finish my talking here. There's a bit of pre-recorded gameplay that I wanted to show you from some of the later levels. I think it's level 5 or level 6. And yeah, I'll just let the video end on that, and you can listen to the sound while that's happening because this game actually has a really, really good soundtrack and sound effects. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to favorite, like, and or subscribe. If you have anything you'd like to see on the channel, leave me a comment and I'll see what I can do. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.